Clearly, we have a lot of ground to cover, so let's dive right in with industry insights from Adam Boucher. Adam is Principal Security Architect for Palo Alto Networks. Adam, welcome. Glad to have you. So tell our audience a little bit about what you do, where hybrid workforce comes in, what's your day-to-day look like?
Sure, thanks, George. So what I do as a principal architect for Palo Alto Networks is I do a lot of customer outreach. And so we sit down with customers and we look at where they're at in their digital journey, where they're at in their hybrid workforce execution, and we help them kind of get to where they want to be. So a lot of that entails just kind of listening to what customers say, listening to the problems that they bring up, and being able to be that kind of person on the other end that can fix it. And honestly, that's one of the reasons I joined the industry, is to get to that moment where the customer kind of understands those pieces falling into place. And being able to provide that at Palo Alto is one of my strongest career motivators.
Listening, communication between public and private sector is nothing new, but I do feel like over the past 2 years, the ability to do so has been somewhat limited because IT professionals like yourself, like those who work in federal, DoD, state and local governments, they've been moving a mile a minute. You know, have they had the chance to really examine the massive changes they've had to make over the past 2 years?
Yeah, that's a great point, George. And it's funny, one of the things I was talking to someone outside the studio about earlier today was, you know, it seems like we had to do 10 years of changes in a 1-month period. And that's about right. I mean, if you look at the existing legacy architecture that a lot of these organizations had, you know, they had VPNs, they had remote access capabilities, but they weren't built for their entire organization to be 24/7 remote. They were built for, you know, specific use cases with specific users. So as they've had to shift to that 100% remote work, it's been a struggle. And that's what we spend a lot of our time with when we're having these conversations with customers.
I'm a big fan of mantras. You gave me one before we went on the air. Really simple, easy to remember. 3 words: survive, optimize, thrive. Let's break that up a little bit. Start with survive, because it sounds like what we're talking about here a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So survive absolutely is kind of what I was alluding to in our earlier conversations. We have a lot of legacy architectures that people had built prior to the pandemic. Like, you know, we have 10% of our workforce is going to need a VPN solution. Being able to rapidly expand that for the entire organization has been a significant challenge. And we found that a lot of organizations had to take shortcuts, potentially miss security configurations, whatever it was, whatever they had to do to get things working. And that's kind of embodied in that survive mantra. Like, we're going to get through this, but at this point, we just got to get it to work.
What about optimize?
Yeah, optimize is a good one too. And I feel like most organizations are about at that stage now. That's, you know, we're comfortable, we've made some tweaks. People are able to, you know, get on and work remotely day in, day out. But there's areas we can improve. And what we see customers looking at a lot in these improvement areas is shadow IT. So everybody's working from home, but, oh, I don't have this application that I need to be able to do my job. So shedding some light on that shadow IT is where we're discovering that, you know, most of it is productivity. So you hear shadow IT and it sounds like a bad term, but what we're finding is customers are filling in their own gaps to be productive and to move forward. So part of that optimization part of the strategy is trying to figure out where we can kind of envelope the shadow IT pieces into productivity and keep them secure and help them be applicable to the entire organization.
In conversations that I navigate like these, a common IT term is visibility. Is that in part what you're talking about there? Am I reading that right?
Yeah, no, imagine you're walking into a dark room. How are you going to get visibility? You're going to shine light onto it. So that kind of perfectly balances the shadow IT. Getting visibility of those applications that customers are using to get their jobs done is critical. And being able to kind of ingest those into your enterprise organization is key to embracing that productivity.
Okay, so we've covered survive, we've covered optimize. Take us to the self-actualized portion of this discussion here. Let's thrive. What does thriving look like?
Yeah, and this is my favorite one. ESG did a survey of organizations that have been, you know, executing under remote work, and they found that 71% of employees reported increased job satisfaction during the remote work phase of the pandemic. And so that's important to us. So as we looked at creating strategies and creating solutions for customers that need to, engage in this hybrid remote work model, we put the user first. So our Autonomous Digital Experience Manager, or ADEM, provides a way for us to ensure that customers from end to end get the best experience that they can. And it allows for IT organizations to be able to help get a little bit better insight into that connectivity. So we're taking the areas of SaaS productivity applications we looked at under Optimize, we're bringing them in. We're looking at that perimeter that was part of the security piece, and the Survive piece, and we're bringing that in. And the overall outcome is we're able to apply a consistent security policy no matter where the user, the data, or the application lives, while making sure we keep the user first, because that's going to be the key part of that thrive. Because our user is the core, and enabling their productivity, that's what it means to thrive to Palo Alto Networks.
It sounds like a good way to be. Thriving is helping others to really get a better user experience and succeed. Adam Boucher, Principal Security Architect for Palo Alto Networks. Really had a great time. Thanks for being here, sir.
Yeah, likewise, George. It was a pleasure. Thanks again.
In the